All right. I think we're good there. Hello, and welcome to Kai Chi Alchemy. You can call me Katchi. This is a space of love. Y'all, welcome or welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the cosmos today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for co-creating community with me. Thank you for all of that engagement, all the likes, shares, subscribes, comments, etc. It's been very helpful for growing the channel and getting out to a wider audience so that we can become more customized and specialized and find the people that we need to find, right? Sorry that we took a little bit of time getting ready here. I did have to sit in traffic after a training, so I had a feeling this would go down that way. But either way, I am so hungry, and so I was like, I'm gonna get through this, and it'll be fine. But there's a little bit still for like keep things honor people's time, right? That's what we were talking about, I think, in the last reading. What was that? Penosos? So, in any case, I'm going to get right into it today. I'm pretty certain that we're going to be reading a chapter. Yeah, it's very short. So, first, let's see, I drew some cards for you guys from the index deck. I really need to expand can't wait to have one that's like 8 feet tall. I'll show y'all when it's gotten to that point. The first card that came out on the spread is Love Always from the Writer cards by Chava. That's the Oracle deck that I was using there. And there you go, so you can see like the color scheme. Get some confirmation stuff in there. But this was paired up with the Five of Pentacles. So this is like the first card in the spread. And Love Always is kind of like a reminder. It's like a reminder from Spirit. If this message is resonating with you today, there's this girl that is feeling left out in the cold here. And she can't get into this door, and she wants to get into this place with the stuff that she wants, where it's warm and it's safe, and she's got food and shelter and whatever. This is usually a card of like a couple of people locked outside of a church, shuffling through the snow. You may be locked out of the church in some kind of a way, perhaps. Yeah, and like either way, pardon me. Either way, this girl has this key, and this key is way too big for this lock. This key doesn't fit this lock. This key doesn't belong to this lock. It never did. And it's almost like somebody's telling you to open this door with this key, and you keep trying to open this door with this key, and you keep trying to open this door with this key, and you keep trying to open this door with this key, because it has what you want inside of it. And somebody told you that if you just put this key inside of this door, then it'll open and you will have access to everything that you want and need. And it's just not working, and it's not working, and it's not working. And at some point, she gives up. She can see when she tries that she can feel that there's no way it's going to work out. But she keeps having people tell her, just put the key in the keyhole. Just open the door. Everything that you need is right behind this door, and you have the key. But she knows that's not true, because she's been trying to open this door for a long time, to the point where she left this key behind, dropped it in front of the door, and went over into the corner to start crying. It's like when you just give up, and you just curl into a ball, when there's just nothing left to do, but just sit in. You can experience your emotions around how pointless everything is and about how impossible everything is. And so if you have recently found yourself in this place, or you're currently finding yourself in this place, then Spirit is saying, remember, people are telling you something that's not true, but remember the truth. You know the truth. You know it. And you know the truth. Okay, so you heard a voice. It might have prompted you to do something, to change something. Because you've been banging your head up against the wall trying to open this door for a long time, right? Hello. So Spirit said, be still. Spirit said, love always. You said, obviously, of course. That's a little hard to hear right now. It's a little spiritual bypassy. I agree, but can you see where I am at right now? Hello? Can you meet me where I am at right now? Are you just trying to, trying to make light of my struggles? No. Spirit says, be still. Be still. Listen. Listen, listen, listen. You heard me, but you didn't hear me well enough. You didn't hear me deep enough. You didn't hear me all the way. Be still so you can listen. And this girl is like, it's not even like in this other card where she's crying in a ball on the floor. This is like after you've cried yourself into a ball on the floor so much that you're just like exhausted and depleted and you need some electrolytes and your body is tired because you utilized a lot of that, moved a lot of that energy, and so you just surrender. You be still. That's you freak out. And oftentimes that's important to rage and to grieve and do those sorts of things. But at some point you're gonna run out of energy. You're gonna realize, well, yes, there's some truth in this emotion, but facts are not feelings, and there's something deeper here. So what is the truth? If my initial emotional reaction wasn't fully true, what is the truth? Love always. Be still. Surrender. And this is, being so still and so surrendered that you are able to sink to the bottom of the ocean and stop kicking your legs and to just take in all of your senses. And when you're down here, you're just reflecting and you're contemplating and figuring out what you need to release in order to hear better, right? I got 999 as, hermit, isolation, taking time to yourself, taking time out, being still. Harry, as it's a hairy situation. It's a questionable situation. It's something that you need to give yourself the space to question. Maybe you were told not to question something, like how this giant key does not fit in this keyhole everybody's telling you it's supposed to be able to fit into. That's a hairy situation. Everybody's kind of gaslighting you. You've had this repeated experience. The Spirit says, be still, listen. This is a hairy situation, so you need to sit in it. You need to treat it with the gravity that it deserves. Hakuna Matata, like, it's giving her this questioning energy. As like, Hakuna Matata means no worries. Are there no worries? As somebody trying to downplay your worries or your fears, and to say everything's all right. Everything's all right. What's your problem? What's your problem, man? So this is what you're reflecting on right now. And through this process, you have recently, or you will in the near future, come to a space of this Five of Cups in reverse. It's kind of like releasing self-pity. It's kind of like moving forward. It's like moving on from crying over spilled milk. Because this is crying over spilled milk, looking at the three cups that got knocked over and not seeing the two beautiful cups behind you. So this card in reverse definitely gives me the energy of somebody turning around after having grieved and raged and actually given everything they needed to into the three spilled cups in front of them. You don't want to spill milk and then pretend like nothing's wrong to your kids. You also don't want to freak out, but you want to acknowledge, yes, there is something wrong here. And if we need to express emotions right now around it, we can do that. We should do that. So that then we have created the space to be still. And when we created the space to be still, we can ask these questions. Are there no worries? Is everything all right? What really is going on here? Why does this feel so off? Why won't this key open this door? Why are people telling me this key opens this door? So, after this Five of Cups in reverse moment that you have, or you will have, through the pyramid process, you're going to come into this place of chariot energy of moving forward. And how are you moving forward? What's going on there? So after you have realized that you need to release self-pity, you can start having your gears turn and see things a little bit more clearly on a lot of different levels. And so you're coming to even more questions and conclusions. Conclusions that you have decided to stick to for yourself, regardless of what anybody says. We have unacceptable, brick road, and missing. Okay? So you realize it's unacceptable that people are telling you that this key opens this door when it clearly does not, has not, will not. Maybe you see somebody open a key with the door with a key before, but that's not that door and that's not that key. And just because somebody else hears the word door and key and they think that that means the same door and the same key for some reason because all doors and all keys are the same, that's not true. It's not true. They're missing something. They're missing something important. And if they don't see that they're missing something, you have to see that they're missing something in order to say, you know what? I'm going to have to take initiative here and not trust you and not believe you because there's no reason for me to. And you are missing a big piece of information, a big part of the picture. Okay? So whatever it is that you're missing, I have to go out and seek for myself. And not only that, I have to contend with the fact that you're going to believe that I'm wasting my time. And because you're missing something, and you were doing and saying something to me that was unacceptable, well, now I will be missing. Because I cannot be in this environment where people are telling me that things are not what they clearly are in my lived experience. And they're telling you it should. This card, inspired by Jennifer Pastiloff, but still by Chava, is called, I don't know if I'm gonna get flagged for this. How far are we? 15 minutes in, should be fine. Should is an asshole. Very, very clear there. So you will be going missing because that stuff was unacceptable. And you know that now, and you can say that without really worrying about whether people validate it or agree with it. There's always going to be somebody willing and wanting to validate you, no matter what you say or think. And there's always going to be somebody that's going to want to invalidate you, no matter what you do, what you think, what you say. So when you go missing, you're going to go down this brick road. I was getting a lot of different confirmations for that, but yeah. Also, those are dogs. So that was fun. That was interesting. When you go down this brick road, choose to thrive. Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, you're making a choice. You're taking the actions. You're taking control of your physical lived reality. You're taking it into your own hands. You're choosing to thrive. And in this section, we got tin, lion, and brain, which together for me, especially considering the reading we had a while ago where we were talking about the Wizard of Oz, and I got some of the characters mixed up, that reading may be relevant to some of y'all. I honestly don't remember which one it is, so if I find it, I'll let you know in the comments or the reading tab or something. But in any case, tin, lion, brain, the characters in the Wizard of Oz that went down the brick road, they were kind of like a group. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a squad, a tribe. What do people call those now? A group of misfits. People who have been told things should work one way, but they don't. You should be one way, but you shouldn't. You don't have this, but they do. You know what I mean? And they all find each other along this brick road because they were available to the brick road. They weren't busy and distracted by the things going on in their space. They had enough space. They were in a place of enough questioning. They were open enough to be picked up by this gaggle of misfits that were going down this yellow brick road. Yellow might have something to do with some solar plexus healing or protection, healing from and protecting yourself from abuse and abusive situations. Choosing to thrive, choosing to take one step at a time. The yellow brick road was a long journey. Lots of drama, lots of things happened. They had to just keep going, they had to push through a lot. They had to put one foot in front of the other. And it wasn't all easy and perfect. They didn't get home till the end. They didn't realize that they had what they thought they didn't have till the end. They weren't given the things that they wanted till the end. They didn't get their sparkly shoes till the end, but they kept going. They didn't even necessarily know where they were going or like what was going to happen on their journey down that road in the end. But they knew that they needed to keep going because where they were wasn't working. And that's all they really needed to know in order to be committed to that Knight of Pentacles energy. And so they did it, and while they committed to it first for themselves, and then really for the group because they became so close, they became friends, right? And so that's a hard journey. It's not like you've arrived somewhere. It's like you're on a journey somewhere, right? If you wouldn't have gone on that journey, you would still be sitting in front of that door crying with the big key that doesn't fit in the small hole. If you hadn't gone through this experience of such betrayal or rejection or gaslighting or where things just didn't make sense, where you had to trust yourself because there was really no other option other than like suffering and abuse, or to really radically trust yourself. Maybe some of the people that you had to stand up against were your family, were members of your church, were members of your political affiliation. were members of like your social group, like the girls that go to bingo together every week, you know? It's something wasn't right there. But everybody told you it was, or there was some expectation that it was. And so to come against who you are, who you should be, who you should align with, who you should support, who you should agree with, who you should feel good around, who you should work well with, who you should, how you should be. Should is an asshole. Jennifer pest it off. Yeah. And you realize, no, that's not true. That's not true. I choose to thrive. I choose to thrive. And because I choose to thrive and I choose myself and I choose to move forward, that's when and why you find other people that chose to move forward, that chose to seek something out, that chose to no longer stay stuck in and agree to the patterns and the stories that they were in. The Tin Man, the Lion. The Straw Man? What is? Oh, there may be some legal stuff in there. I don't know. Scarecrow. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, excellent. So as you guys go through this process, you become really strong when you choose to thrive, when you choose to put one foot in front of the other, when you choose to put work in and have patience, when it's not easy, when it's not what's expected. That's how you become a misfit. That's how you become part of this band of misfits. So you develop community by rejecting the community that doesn't align with you, that encourages you to diminish yourself, that encourages you to put yourself in environments that aren't good for you, right? It says becoming who I am meant to be, the wheel. So this is where you're going, or this is where you have arrived. And here we got the seed, crystal, and plasmoid. I was getting very much that where you are going, I mean, the seed of where you are going is planted in the present. Crystal, like in the physical present moment. But crystals are also electromagnetically connected, active, and they interact with that energy in a way where you can generate things, where there's intelligence behind it. So it's like if you plant a seed, in a rock, in a crystal, under the earth, in the earth, then you will generate a new energy, a new intelligence. And I can't really say what that new energy and that new intelligence will be for all of you because it's so unique. And it's interesting that what binds you together with the people that you are becoming so close to is the fact that you are so unique and that you know yourself and that you are secure in that and that you express that and that you're committed to that and that you put yourself first and you put your own oxygen mask on first when that's not normal, when that's not average, when that's not expected. So when all of you guys come together, you're really strong. You're so strong individually, probably more so than the people stuck in those patterns. Because you had to. Because you had to put one foot in front of the other and do really hard practical work. And you had to do a lot of emotional processing that a lot of people have too much fear and delusion to get all the way through. Too much pride to get all the way through. And so when you meet these people along this road, you meet them on this road, and they're on this road only because they chose this process of doing the hard thing, of going it alone if that's what they need to. If that's what they need to do, then that's what they're going to choose to do. But because of that, they have developed this security, this individuality, this uniqueness, And that means that when you all come together, you create a new intelligence that is something the world has never seen before. It's something you could never have imagined. It's something that's fully in the hands of God. Like, there is no better plan. There is no better way to get to the most strong, vibrant, productive community. It's beautiful. It's like rainbow, iridescent. It's like when the sun shines through one of those crystals on the that hang from the ceiling, and it refracts all over the place. There's rainbows everywhere. You're like, oh, that's so beautiful. That's so whimsical. But it comes from a rock. And it comes from something very small and unassuming. But that small, unassuming, practical, physical thing, that rock, that dirt, had a seed planted into it. And not just a seed that you could buy at some big box store. This is like an heirloom seed, specific to your lineage and your experience. There's never been a seed like this before. And it will grow fruits that nobody has ever known before. And nobody ever would know if you didn't choose to plant this heirloom seed. If you chose to go find a way to go buy this seed from the big box store, you would come back and probably have a good shot of growing something. But it wouldn't taste good, it wouldn't look good, it wouldn't be aligned to what your body needs, it wouldn't be nourishing to you. It wouldn't be beautiful and unique. Have you ever had an heirloom tomato with some like crazy variety that you've never heard of before? And you're like, what is this? I didn't know food could taste like this. I feel like I'm tasting new colors and like seeing new flavors I never had before. What's going on here? So in order to create this beautiful, unique, never seen before fruit, to experience this change of seasons, this turn of the wheel, it's time for you to plant a seed in a crystal and develop a new intelligence in this world for us. So how are we going to do that? I may pull some cards on that, but we are doing a reading from the Ringing Cedars of Russia today. So the Cancer lighter knocked over. I saw that. Maybe some confirmation in there, because literally the two things that fell down were my Cancer Zodiac lighter and my Chariot card from the Light Seers deck, which is the Cancer card. Something about home, something about family is probably really significant. Stubbornness, emotional manipulation, the ocean, crabs. Did I say mothers? Sorry. Okay, so let's see what all of this has to do with chapter 4 of the Ringing Cedars of Russia series. And then I will see if I feel called to pull some more cards on a section or not. Chapter 4, a confidential conversation. I realized, Anastasia continued, that physical disease is nothing compared with mental torments. But at the same time, I was not yet able to treat the soul. I wanted to know how I could do this, or even if I could do it at all. Now I know it is possible. And I found out something else. That physical diseases appear in man not just as a result of his self-withdrawal from nature around him, and not just as a result of the dark feelings which he allows himself to take in. They, the diseases, can also be a means of warding off or even deliverance from considerably greater torments. Diseases are one of the devices or means of communication between the supreme intelligence, or God, and man. Man's pain is his pain too. but it could not be otherwise. How else could you get the message, for example, do not keep throwing into your stomach all sorts of harmful stuff? You tend not to listen to words of reason after all. That's why the message comes through pain. But instead, you swallow painkillers and go back to stubbornly doing your own thing. So, I countered, it follows then, in your opinion, that there's no need to treat people at all? No need to help them with their ailments? Help there should be, but first of all, to gain a proper understanding of the origins of the disease. Man needs help in discerning what the Supreme Intelligence, God, desires him to say, but that is a most difficult task. One can make mistakes. Pain, after all, is a confidential conversation between two beings who know about each other. Interference from a third party often harms man instead of helping him. Well, why then did you rid me of my diseases? I asked Anastasia. Does that mean you've harmed me in some way? All your diseases will come back to you if you do not change your lifestyle, your attitude to things around you, and to yourself. If you do not change some of your habits, they are the causes of your diseases. I have done no harm to your soul. It became clear to me that it would be impossible to persuade Anastasia to make money out of using her healing abilities until she had sorted things out for herself. My business plan had fallen apart. Anastasia must have noticed my irritation, for she replied, "Do not be upset, Vladimir. I shall try to grasp everything as quickly as possible. And now, if you really want to help others and yourself and not just make money, I shall tell you about the means by which man can cure himself from many diseases without undesirable side effects, as might happen when outsiders try to interfere in his destiny. If indeed you want to listen to this, what choice do I have? I'm not going to change your mind in any case. Tell me." There are several main causes underlying the diseases of the human flesh, namely harmful feelings, emotions, an artificial dietary regime, an unnatural meal schedule and food composition, the lack of short-term and long-term goals, and misapprehension of one's essence and purpose in life. Positive emotions, a variety of plants, and a reappraisal of one's essence and purpose in life. All these are capable not only of counteracting diseases, but also of significantly enhancing one's physical and mental or emotional state. As far as bringing back, under the conditions of your world, man's lost connection with plants, I have already told you about that. After man has established a direct personal contact with these plants, it is much easier to make sense of everything. The ray of love, too, is capable of curing many diseases of one's fellow man and even prolonging his life by creating around him a space of love. But man himself, once he has managed to arouse positive emotions in himself, can use them to extinguish pain and cure the diseases of the flesh, even the effects of poison. And y'all remember when we read about Rasputin? What does that mean, arousing positive emotions? I queried. How can one think good thoughts if one has a toothache or a stomach ache? Pure, clear moments of life, positive emotions, like guardian angels, will overcome pain and disease. But what if someone doesn't have enough pure and clear moments to arouse the positive feeling emotions? What should he do then? He should create at once something to make them appear. They appear when people around you treat you with genuine love. So you must create a situation along those lines. Create it by your actions in respect to those around you. Otherwise, your guardian angel will not be able to help you. I wonder whether I have ever had them myself, and if so, how strong they were. How does one call them forth? This can be done through reminiscing. For example, let us recall something good, something pleasant from your past. With the help of that image, try to feel the soft and pleasing state of your mind you experienced back then. Do you want to try it now? I shall help you. Try it. All right, let's give it a try. Please lie down on the grass and relax. You can remember starting from this point in your life right now, going back into the past. Or you can stay with your childhood and proceed up to the present day. Or you can jump at once to the most pleasant moments and feel the sensations connected with them. I lay down on the grass. Anastasia lay down beside me and pressed her fingers against mine. I thought her proximity might prevent me from concentrating on my reminiscences, and I said, perhaps I'd better be alone. I shall be very quiet. When you start remembering, you will forget about me, and you will not feel the touch of my hand, but I can help you remember everything more quickly and vividly. This reminds me very much of like movies about aliens and stuff. I don't know if it's exactly the same situation, but if you've seen that movie Paul, I think it is. Like there's just something about even psychic humans and stuff. Like if there's a closer contact in some way, if they have a picture of you, they can touch a picture of you or your name written down or your body, or they can think about you, that gives them influence over you, right? And so you don't want aliens or psychics of darkness. You don't want to make yourself available to them because then they can influence you. And if you are not super down with the darkness, you are not super down with the sickness, then they're going to drag you down and they're going to confuse you, and you're not going to understand where they're coming from because they don't think the way that you think. And they're not operating from a place of love. And if they're not operating from a place of love, then you literally are not capable of healing yourself and others. You have to take actions in respect to those around you in order to create around yourself an environment, a space of love, where that defines your experience and your interactions in your community. Because if you make choices to put yourself in environments that are not this way, then it's literally going to impact your ability to heal yourself on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. And you're going to get real resentful because you're going to think these people are the reason why you can't move forward. And it's kind of true, but the reason you can't move forward is because of you. And you can move forward without their permission, but you can't move forward with their presence. You have to say, this is unacceptable. I'm going missing. You're missing something important, and you won't see it, and you don't see that you don't see it. I'm going down this brick road. Going down this brick road. So I can make this space of love. So I can find these people who are operating from the kind of energy that I can understand, that I can empathize with on a really deep level, because when they're put in circumstances the way they respond to those circumstances is similar to the way I would respond to those circumstances. Because otherwise you're going to fall into a lot of positive projection, and that can be very dangerous. And maybe you justify to yourself, like, I'm only harming myself, what does it really matter? But the world needs you. The world needs you in your purpose and your power. And if you're not, then we all suffer. Even the people that probably are saying that they want your presence and aren't operating from a space of love and are harder and harder for you to wrap your brain around why they're making the decisions that they're making. It's crazy making. And you don't have energy for that. And you have a big purpose that you need to be funneling your energy into. That actually aligned really, really well. I didn't even remember what chapter was going to be next, but I was channeling that message. And it's so interesting. Because we're talking about pain. And this is a card of pain, this is a card of protection. In fact, in the original Rider-Waite-Smith, this card, they have like broken bones and stuff, right? They're like on crutches. Right? Yeah. That's crazy. The diseases can also be a means of warding off or even deliverance from considerably greater torments. So the struggles that you went through triggered this experience. And it was not pleasant, and it was hard, and it was dark, and it was scary. You may have struggled with illusions and delusions and confusion. It was, it was not fun. There's a reason a lot of people didn't choose to go down this process. There's a reason there's only a few people on the brick road finding each other on the yellow brick road. Because it's a hard, the solar plexus energy is a hard energy. It burns. It's a transmutational, transformative fire. It's not, you literally threw yourself into the fire. You have people telling you this key fits in this door, 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 put this key in this door, it'll open this door, do it, do it, do it. And you kept doing it and it kept not working. You broke down and you started crying, and it was a surrender, it was a breaking point. And that, people could tell you, is a problem, which is funny. It's not a mental health problem. It is a solution. It is a reaction. It is a response. It is the response that you need to go through. It is the pain that you need to go through. It is the grief that you need to go through. It is the rage that you need to go through. You shouldn't be repressing these and avoiding them and trying to control them. You need to experience that pain. You need to experience that disease. You need to experience that reflection of disharmony. If you don't acknowledge it, it'll get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And that is why we have dramatic, extreme things happen in our relationships. That is why we end up in hospital beds for months and months, or even with broken bones and stuff. We attract these experiences to ourselves because Spirit was whispering in your ear an intuitive hit, and you weren't listening to the intuitive hit Spirit was gifting you, was whispering in your ear because you didn't hear it. There were so many loud noises. You were paying so much attention to these situations and these people that you surrounded yourself with, to the point where you can't hear Spirit. But Spirit's not going to allow you, gonna just give up on you. Not going to let you totally self-destruct. Not going to let you totally abandon yourself. So they're going to keep trying a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit louder. Maybe if they feel it, in their joint. Maybe if they feel it in their chest. Maybe if their throat closes up. Maybe if they can't think straight. What if there's too much blood in their brain? What if there's not enough blood in their brain? Maybe that'll get their attention. Maybe that'll make them drop what they're doing. Maybe that'll make them forced to see things from a different perspective. You ever meet somebody that was like really sick when they were a kid? And it was like an enlightening experience for them because it broke their brain down in a way, kind of like when people take psychedelics, I guess. Sometimes they even have like visual, auditory hallucinations in these illnesses. And just like a fever is an essential experience to go through when your body chooses to have a fever and is part of the healing process, so is everything else. So is moving on to the other side. So is having a growth in some part of your body. So is having circulation problems. So is having physical pain and dysfunction in your fascia, in your joints, in your connective tissue. All of these things are your body screaming to you, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Be still. Be still. You're not being still. Okay, I'm going to take your legs away. You're not being still. You're not listening. You're not hearing me. Okay. I'm going to take your home away. And so when we can see things from this perspective, that everything, even the painful and unfortunate situations, are actually a part of the seed of our future, of our success, of our fulfillment, of our alignment, that's when that becomes true. And if you don't believe that, then that's not true. You're that powerful. But if you don't believe that, Spirit's not going to just kind of let that slide. You might be able to be put in kind of a holding period for a certain period of time, but eventually it's going to get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And so before it gets to that point, I feel like before it got to that point for a lot of y'all, before you had a total nervous breakdown, you had already gotten still enough, you'd already gotten the intuition that you need to listen, you need to be still. It might have started off a little sassy, a little belligerent, when you're like, why, God, why? Love, always. What the hell, Spirit? No, this is not love. Do you not care about me? Ah, give me a cookie. I want a cookie. No, you don't need a cookie. You don't need a cookie, okay? But you have to plant that seed. You have to program that crystal. You have to create that new intelligence so that you can say yes, or stepping into change. I am becoming who I need to be. And I'm in control of this change. I'm initiating this change. I'm being proactive for this change. I may or may not struggle and suffer and experience disease in the rest of my life. And I'm grateful for it. But there's going to be less of it. And there's going to be more cool things going on if I take the responsibility and I make the choice. And I plant the seed and I program the crystal. Before I got started with this reading today, I was channeling this energy and I was gonna do just like a straight up tarot read on it. And I felt like, man, I am too tired. I am too emotionally, energetically drained to be doing all of that today. So I'm not sure if I'm going to read on this energy or not, but now I'm realizing it's kind of the same energy. It was about having this like overwhelming desire. You just want something so bad. The reason why, when you are, I guess you could say, lusting over, that is what that energy is about, is when you want something that you feel like you can't really have, you shouldn't really have. It's not easy to really have. You should really want. You can't have. It's the energy of, that's what that angst is. You know, when you want something really bad and you want to take action on something really bad that you feel like you have to hold yourself back from it because your head and your heart are kind of like fighting each other, or your body and your spirit are kind of like in conflict, fighting each other, and you don't know which way to go. You have to be mindful of that. You want it so bad. And the reason it feels like that ache in your chest, like that lust, like that desire, that's just like debilitating if you let it be, is because that energy is the energy of I want what I can't have. Is there a story that you've been through about like not being able to have what you want? You want what you can't have. But you wanted what was behind this door. You didn't want this door. You wanted what was behind this door, right? You wanted the promise. You wanted the growth. You wanted the warmth. You wanted the nourishment. You wanted the community. You wanted something. And so just because this has been your experience in the environments and the communities that you have experienced in the past, when you had this giant key and this tiny keyhole that didn't match, that didn't fit, that didn't work together. Yes, you went through a lot of experiences that showed you cannot have, you want what you cannot have. But that's kind of true and it's kind of not true. Because if you say the way y'all are reacting to this is unacceptable, you're missing a big part of the picture. You don't see that you're missing it, so I'm gonna go missing, and I'm gonna go down this brick road. You're gonna find that you can have what you want that you think you can't have. You just can't have it from here. So that is the bittersweet. That is the grief. Because you were so attached to wanting it here. You really wanted this door. Everybody told you there was this door. You thought it was this door. You was so like working for this door. But it was never gonna work. It was never this door. This key, you'd have to like melt it down and turn it into an entirely different thing to make it even possible for it to open this door. And you would have to find a keysmith to do that for you. And if that keysmith is an agent of darkness, is an alien or a psychic or something who can interact with you and have influence over you that isn't coming from the light, isn't coming from the love, and makes decisions from a different place in a different way than you do. So you really can't have full empathy for them because you can't understand why they move the way they move and they choose the way they choose. So you can't go to that keysmith. You can't fix this key. This is your key. This is the key you were given. This is the key you were born with. And just because your family gave you this key and said it should be able to open this door, they don't know what they're talking about. Because all they've ever seen is keys opening doors. So maybe they think they're telling you something true, but through your lived experience of trying to fit this giant key into this tiny hole over and over again and failing and failing and failing, and everybody's telling you it's your fault. They want to see the fault. wasn't supposed to work, it was never supposed to work. It's not that you want what you can't have. It's that what you want is behind a different door. And you have to pick yourself up. You have to listen, and Spirit says, love always. Be still. Listen. Reflect. See what has been done to you. With the best of intentions, even maybe. Realize, should is an asshole. Even if they think it's well-meaning advice, if they're telling you you should do something, even if they think that they're accurate on that when they're not, just the fact that they're telling you to do something that you don't agree with, that you don't want to do, that doesn't feel right to you, is enough to know that they're operating from darkness, that they're not operating from love, that you can't wrap your brain around how they make decisions, that you can't feel safe around them, that you cannot heal yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually when you are in close proximity to the people that you've created an environment around yourself with. You have to take action, your own initiative, to co-create the community around you in respect to the people around you. And the way that you find those people that you feel like you didn't even realize existed, you didn't believe existed, is I'm gonna go it alone. If I have to go it alone to find this door that this key opens, if I have to tell everybody that thinks I'm crazy for walking away and not listening to them, that I think they're crazy and I'm walking away, then so be it, I will be alone. And in developing that fortitude and that self-knowledge and that commitment, you choose to thrive. You choose to do the hard work. And so do all of the people on that brick road that you run into along the way. And you never would have believed that those people existed, and you never would have run into them if you hadn't made the decision. I am worth more than this. I have a purpose in this life. And I know I'm not crazy, and I know this key doesn't fit in this hole. It was hard to make that choice. It was unknown to make that choice. It affected your sense of home and stability and foundation and family. And you have to become your own family, your own stability, your own ground if you do that. And that is the process of maturing into like an adult masculine energy, in my opinion. And I think that that's something that we all need to do, male humans especially, but I think that that's something that we all have to go through in order to not be a danger to ourselves and others. And so sometimes, even though family and community and structure and commitment and tradition can be important, it can also keep us stuck and disassociated and trapped in delusions. And then we have the compounding effect of this shared fantasy, this shared illusion, this shared narcissism, this narcissistic system that sets in that just wants to defend itself, that just wants to defend the fantasy, defend the reality. And then all your energy is going into defending truth, like defending yourself and your community from the truth. How exhausting. And spirit's gonna get louder and louder and louder and louder with the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional diseases and problems and issues that you're confronted with as it's trying to get your attention. Hey, 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 be still. Love always. Is this love? No, not do they say this is love. Is this love? What do you think? What do you feel? No? Okay. Next. What are we going to do about it? what are we going to do with it? The seed, crystal, plasmoid. You're going to plant a seed, you're going to program a crystal, you're going to birth a new intelligence. And so the thing that you wanted, you thought you wanted what you couldn't have. And you realized that you can't have what you want, that you can't have it behind this door, so you went out to find the other door, right? And what's going to help you find that door? What are you doing along this journey down the yellow brick road as you are finding your way home, or finding your way to Oz, or finding your way to a heart, or finding your way to realizing you always had what you needed inside of you, or, you know, however you interpret that Wizard of Oz reference, personally. But the message from that other channel message that led into this one was that lust, that desire, that feeling of I want what I can't have, is telling you something, just like every other disease in your body, in your life, in your soul. And you needed that message. So it's good you didn't ignore it, but what's it telling you exactly? It's telling you to program what it is that you want, to experience what it is that you want, to give yourself a direct felt experience of the fact that you can have what you want. And how do you do that? As always, through the power of the mind, through the power of imagination and feminine energy. Your journey towards coming into your divine masculine energy is what has created the container and the safety for you to go through this process, becoming who I am meant to be, planting the seed, programming the crystal, birthing a new intelligence. So I'm going to encourage anybody who is resonating with this message today to take time out every day, if you, create a routine around it. Create a space around it, a sacred space around it, a space of love for you to experience this love, to experience this thing that you think that you want, that you cannot have, that you now realize that you can have, but you don't know how or where or what or why in the physical. Like, how am I going to get there? Don't try to force all that stuff. God's on it. You're fine. You'll get there in the right timing. It may take forever. It may take next life. And if you're the kind of person who is able to contend with that mentally, you're going to be blessed and favored in many ways. You're going to be able to serve yourself and others in many ways. We need that. So please go ahead and do that. But yeah, every day, carve out a sacred, protected space for you to fall into that feminine energy, into that desire, into that imagination, to feel that lust, but not from an angsty place, from a place of love, from a place of I want this, and not only can I have this, and not only does this exist somewhere, and not only is this meant for me, and not only is this good for me, not only is this possible, but it's already here. Because I feel it in my body. When you, whether or not when you look at something, when you close your eyes, when you use your ability to create an image with all of your senses and stimulate the same reactions in your body, in your energy field, as you would experience having those literal experiences in life. I think that's what she means by healing those physical diseases, is that we are able to heal things that seem impossible to heal through the power of our imagination, because when we imagine those things with full depth, when we utilize our imagination with all 5 of our senses and beyond, and we feel something in every cell of our body and every inch of our bones, and we just start to literally physically secrete things into our blood. And that is what Kai Chi Alchemy is the ocean of energy, of chemistry, of chemical reactions that happen throughout your body. And as that circulates, that is alchemy, that is blood magic. And you don't have to be female to participate in blood magic. Well, also, side note, I mean, a lot of people think that you can participate in blood magic when you are not female by doing like ritual sacrifice kind of things in a non-consensual way. I mean, yes, energetically in certain ways that does work, but then also there's a lot of side effects I don't think that people are expecting or informed of or something. I don't know. They're just like driven by their lust, by demons in their head, like their desire to control the I don't know. Remember, stop trying to get in their heads. Stop trying to understand it. You're not meant to understand this stuff. You're meant to go follow your purpose. You're meant to go follow that yellow brick road. You're meant to go run into these people that are creating their own thing and flying in their own stream, jet stream. What's that called? Bird people. Let me know. So when you visualize everything you've ever wanted. There was a lot of Cancer energy here. So let's just use like a family or a home, for example. Maybe you were like housing insecure, or maybe there was a lot of instability in your family. Maybe you had an absent parent or something. And that instilled in you this feeling, this lust, this angst, this feeling of I want what I can't have. And that was the dis-ease that spurred you into action, that spurred you into action onto this brick road, away from what you know. You had to be uncomfortable. It was a gift. So acknowledge that, appreciate that, but know that you don't have to have pain to be safe and to have what you need and to have what you want. I always talk about how I want to start this fight club where people just line up and they like punch me in the face, and then that's the end of it. It's just like a one-sided. And I would talk about it kind of like a joke a lot, but then I realized the reason I want that so badly, the reason it sounds so fun, is because I believe in my bones in some ways that I have to experience pain in order to feel safe. Because my mother would have a hysterical breakdown on the floor like a 4-year-old and gaslight me and claim that I was, trying to make her feel crazy or I was trying to do something nefarious when all I was trying to do was help her calm down. I was trying to be her mother. I was trying to, and I had to, I put this association together of where she would have this meltdown. I would feel completely in despair. There's nothing I can do. All the love and all the intention in my heart in the world, it doesn't matter. She was hurt in a way where she can't trust people. And it doesn't matter what I do. It's hopeless. But then, she would feel really bad and I would want to make her feel better. And we would snuggle in bed together. And it would be all okay. And so there's this association of like relief and safety comes after the pain and after the suffering and after the fear. And that experience is what spurred me onto a path that I needed to go on, that allowed me to heal, that allowed me to heal my family, in so many ways. So bless it, appreciate it, understand that aspect of it, but then also understand that there's this turning of the wheel, there's a new pattern, and you're the one programming it. And it's based off of what's best for you right now. And what's best for you right now isn't to have dis-ease and to be spurred onto a journey of healing. You've already learned what you needed to from that. So what else can you learn from? What else do you want to create? And again, in this example of a home or a family or insert whatever your deepest desire is, it all works the same. Because when you close your eyes, the reason why it's what you want isn't for any big logical reason. It's because of the way it makes you feel when you visualize it, when you think about it, when you put yourself there, right? And so, yeah, every day, carve out time, carve out space, say, this is what I want, get as detailed as humanly possible. The way all of this started with Kai Chi Alchemy, honestly, was a couple of years ago when I was really interested in getting involved in direct sales with some companies that I actually aligned with their products. Because I'm a big supporter of the model of direct sales when done ethically. But I'm not usually a big supporter of a lot of the products and businesses. And so while I was going through that process, I filled out an application to work with somebody. And in that application that she received, she was like, this is the most detailed. I cried, I laughed, like when I read your description, it put me in a different place. It helped me to see it. It helped me to feel it. It helped me to taste it. And all of these dreams that you have for your life and for your future are so real. They're so vivid. And I know that because there's so many details in here, and this flowed out of you in this way, that you have the potential to make it happen. That is the foundation of having the potential to make something like that happen. Is experiencing it. Is living in la la land. Is living in your head. Is being childish. Is being imaginative. Is being hopeful. Is allowing yourself space for wishful thinking, but not in a lusty, angsty way. Wishful thinking is in like, I'm literally enjoying the feelings that I'm feeling right now because of the chemistry going on in my brain and my blood and my heart and my body right now. And even if that thing never physically materialized, the reason you want that experience in the physical is so you can have it in the spiritual and the emotional and the energetic. But if you flip that around, you have control over your mind. You don't really have control over all the physical environment. Like, you have some control, but everybody has a little bit of control over the physical consensus reality stuff. You're the one that has full, total control over your own mind. And a lot of people think they have more control over the physical world than they do over their own mind, and that's kind of true if that's where they're operating from. And in most cases, it's very important that you put all your resources into learning how to master your mind. So it's really freaking dangerous and scary and uncomfortable and a vulnerable place to be in, and not in like a good way. It makes people feel weak. It makes people feel desperate. It makes people do crazy things that hurt people and themselves. And self-betrayal or like self-sabotage. Whew. So definitely, no matter where you are on this journey, the advice still stands. Nurture your imagination. Make space and time for it. Put it on a pedestal. If you have gone through this process of all of these hard decisions and all of this hard work, and you have really generated that divine masculine energy within yourself, then you have the safety to do that in a fun, healthy, safe way. Not only that, but extremely productive and exactly what the world needs from you right now. And if that helps to motivate you, awesome. It'll get you on that treadmill, it'll be that hot dog on that treadmill, it'll keep you going. But then when you get off the treadmill, you're not gonna want that hot dog. You're probably gonna want like some Gatorade or like some health food or like, you know. And if you want that hot dog, you eat it, it'll make you feel sick. And that'll spur you on to another round about this yellow brick road situation. And this is where we all then end up eventually, is in a place where we have created this father within ourselves that is able to hold us as we disassociate from consensus reality, drop fully into our bodies, drop fully into our sensual experience through our mind's eye to generate the chemistry in our blood that elevates us mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that allows us to heal inflammation in our bodies. It allows us to release stuck, stagnant, dense emotions. It's important to feel things, process them, let them go. But sometimes people feel things and then they just get stuck in them, get trapped in them. The loop, like the moon, you get trapped on that path. It's dark, there's illusions. The light is a little bit confusing. And some people get trapped there and then they're like, oh, I don't like shadow work. I don't like grief. I don't like rage. Those are dangerous, destructive things that cause problems in my life. So I'm just gonna put those away. So how do you avoid getting lost? You have to really humble yourself and be really patient, have a lot of faith, and listen to God when He says, God, what should I do? What's wrong? What's going on? I roll. That's what most people will do. Maybe what you've done before in the past. It's maybe what you want to do. It's maybe what you're choosing to do now, perhaps. But you always have the ability at any time to humble your ego, to put it down to the side for a minute. Your ego is your child. You put the kid down. You listen to God, and He says, do some deadlifts. Do some squats. Choose to thrive. You go, what? God, should is an asshole. I'm like, okay, well, I gave you free will for a reason. Enjoy. But I'm not shooting on you. I'm just offering you advice, experience, wisdom. And you can choose to take it or you can choose to leave it. I'm not shitting on you. I'm not judging you. I'm just offering you something. And if you choose to be able, like, to create the space, to open up the space, to be able to hear it. You can create the space where your father is able to hear God. Then he'll be able to create a space of love that will be capable of protecting you and holding you securely as you explore and put this feminine imaginative energy on the pedestal that it needs, that it deserves, that it's trying and asking and begging to be put on, that you're kind of trying to do that, right? By moving reactively, by moving from lust and desire. And desire's good. Desire's ego. Desire's the child. And desire's not bad. But the order of operations has to be on the right way. You have to choose to do it the right way. And you have free will to choose to do it the wrong way. And then you're just going to go in another lap, another circle. And eventually one day you might choose to go down that brick road. When you come there, because you have already created the circumstances, like what you want wants you back, it's already yours, yes. But it's like being in a labyrinth. You're going around and around and around and around and around and around. Let me grab something real quick. It's like you're going around and around and around and around in a circle. And when you get to this junction right here, you don't even really see these doors into this intersection. You just see the same way you've always gone. Going around in a circle, going around in a circle. When you get to this point, it gets real tight, right? It gets real tight. You gotta squeeze your way through to go in another loop around the cycle. But if you create that masculine container, you fully complete this circle before you move on to the next loop, that unlocks something. That unlocks a new possibility, a new pattern. And that's how you end up in here. And this, I mean, it's kind of a moon or a seed or something. But this is the Father embracing the Mother. This is God embracing the child. This is righteousness holding space for humanity. And you need both. It's not one or the other, you know? I have some retracted messages, so I can't respond to that. Some of this isn't really English. Hello. I'm doing well, thank you. No, I don't do that. I do offer personal readings over Zoom through my email address, and that is going to be found on the main page of my YouTube channel, as well as usually in the description box of a lot of my videos. Sometimes it's not in there already when I go live, but it's quite easy to find in any of the other videos that are fully uploaded, you know? Oh, and then I think that there was one more message that I missed here. Get to it. Interesting. Okay. What makes you ask? Oh yeah, just a quick once over. You know, no toleration of like flirting, rudeness, wasting time, etc. in the chat. I'm probably just going to create a community guideline soon, but I would love to hear y'all's suggestions for, you know, what you have seen in the past that works, that you appreciate, what you're looking for, what your goals, intentions, priorities are, so that I can integrate those into this. But I mean, at the end of the day, I am the head of this community. This how these things work, and so it's going to be, you know, my decision when to cut the type of thing. Yeah, I thought that Francis was the same person that had asked me a question earlier. I'm not even sure if she's still on here. Asking about a reading. And if she, yeah, it doesn't look like she's on the video anymore, which means that she was probably going around to a lot of lives and asking for a free reading on her future husband's career from different people to see who would like give her a free reading. Unless she is still here, feel free to give me a heads up in the chat. I will probably be doing some lives where I do offer free readings for the collective and probably get like a donation link going on and something like that. My time is very valuable and I don't have a lot of it, but I really love being here for you guys. So when I sense that somebody's just like trying to get something from a place of lust, from a place of angst, from a place of desperation, I don't want to help them, I don't want to heal them, because that pain and that confusion is probably doing something beneficial for them. Sometimes people even pass away because that's what needs to happen, and that's in the best interest, in the greatest and highest good of everybody involved. And that's what the last couple of chapters that we've been reading in the Reigning Cedars of Russia have been about, is using that discernment, being vigilant about protecting your space of love, and making sure that it is only interacting with people who are aligned with what you really want to create. Because otherwise you're going to spend all your energy trying to understand people that you really have no capacity to understand. And on top of that, they probably have no capacity to understand you. And on top of that, they're prone to delusion, so they're probably convinced that that's not even true, you know, like they're missing something really important and they don't see that they're missing it. They don't believe that they're missing it. And that's fine. That is their right. That is their choice. That is okay. But at the same time, if they do that, they're gonna keep going around in this big circle, this big loop, and this big lap. That's tiring. That's the man running the perimeter, you know, being the ranger, keeping things, keeping a lookout. And when you're that guy, you need breaks, you need rest, you need somebody to pick up for you, you know? Take turns. We all take turns being the grown up in the room for everybody else. But we have to prioritize being the grown up in the room for ourselves and making decisions, even if they make other people unhappy, or even if we want to help somebody or heal somebody. We have to understand that it really isn't always in their best interest to give them what they're asking for. And if you want to serve the world the best that you can, you have to be willing to take that. To say, you know what, I should be doing this. I'm not going to shit on anybody else, but I should be doing what feels right to me. I'm going to say, should is an asshole, remember? And you say, I know, but I'm not being an asshole to you, I'm being an asshole to myself. And I can have humility about that. I can have a sense of humor about that. I can react and respond in a healthy way to that. I can appreciate that. I can be hard. I can know how hard I can be on myself to get myself where I need to be without going over the edge and just straight up abusing myself. You probably didn't know how to do that in the past. It obviously looks like it. But eventually you're in so much pain, there is no other way. You have to try something different. And that is when the light comes in. This is when this door unlocks here. And this is the door that you've been trying to find this whole time. You found it by creating the perimeter. You found it by creating a space of love. You found it by healing your heart, strengthening your heart, healing your home, strengthening your home, your mind, your body, your space of love. And in doing that, you are you're birthing a new intelligence. What is this new intelligence that you're birthing? What is this crystal that you're programming? What is this seed that you're planting? The seed that wait, what are you programming in this crystal? What intelligence are you birthing? The seed. The seed is the intelligence that you are birthing. The seed is the child. The seed is you. The seed is your feminine. The seed is your imagination. You are planting your imagination seed. And do it every day, every opportunity that you can. Prioritize it. And you will naturally, because you've gone through this process. So this is just a confirmation and just a reminder, as it always should be. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to kick off anybody who is not respecting what I just said. That's a clear infraction upon the wasting time that I just mentioned. There wasn't even some type of attempt to clarify. It's just repetitive and it's disrespectful. And there are things I could misunderstand there. And in the past, I would have said, there's something I'm missing. And doubt my intuition and question myself incessantly because I want to help people. But there's a million people that want your help, dude. And I want you to be the best version of you that we all need you to be. That if this message is resonating with you, you have been through this process and you do know your own answers. Because tarot is not about asking answers from some magical person that knows things that you don't. Tarot is a conversation and a contemplative tool to help you connect with yourself and to connect with God and to remember the things that you already know and to remember that you don't need me. That's what a real healer does, is tell you, you got this, you don't need me, you never did. And I am grateful beyond measure for the father that I have had who taught me these things through lived experience, because it sounds awful and nobody wants to hear that. And when you're stuck in your child and your wounded child and you don't have a father, you look for one. And I've been that father for many people. And it has been the seed of my destruction. And I'm grateful for that seed of destruction because that disease healed me. And sometimes the healing you need is to go into the dirt and to start over. Sometimes the healing that you need is to go through a dark night of the soul. Sometimes the healing that you need is to not get what you want from the person you're asking for it from. You cannot connect with God, connect with others in a healthy, beneficial way if you are not in a place of peace and alignment and security and self-sufficiency within yourself. That is the seed. And nobody heals you. And that's what this whole section has been about. Nobody heals you from disease but you, even when you are ill. And this is why people that are undergoing cancer treatments and things of that nature are well known by medical professionals even to have much higher odds of survival and recovery and health and vitality returning to them when they have that fighting spirit. What is that fighting spirit? That fighting spirit is the elder, is the father, is the warrior, is the community elder. is the container. The only way you become the warrior who's capable of being a true adult member of the community and expressing their inner child in a healthy way, and utilizing and expressing their feminine energy in a healthy way, is by complete psychological annihilation, the choice to accept that, to undergo that, to go into the complete darkness and the complete unknown, knowing that you might not come back, that you might not rise from that tomb. You bury yourself and you say nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth. If it's not the truth, I'm not waking up for it. I will stay in this darkness. No half-truths, no pats on the back, no helping comfort me through it. Because sometimes you heal, help, comfort somebody through suffering, and in doing so, you harm them more deeply than anybody ever could in any other way. Sometimes healing people, when dis-ease is their path of healing, is deeply disrespectful and unhelpful and unhealthy. It degenerates, it disempowers, and it sometimes takes people from a place where they were real close to figuring something out into having a huge pile of energetic stuff to work through because you tried to help when helping was not in your highest interest and it was not in their highest interest. This isn't just about health physically. It's about codependency. It's about home. And you cannot create the home that you were put on this earth to create if you do not learn to create that home within yourself. So I'm here to point you in the right direction, to offer you tools, to offer you things to contemplate, to offer you my experiences. But you have to take it. You have to choose to take it. You have to work it. I don't take money for readings all the time, but I would never choose to give free services to anybody in that way, because there's always an energetic exchange of some type. And if there's not, then it's an extraction. It's a child at its mother's chest, which is the Cancer archetype. A child to your mother's chest. And that child just takes, it gives in a lot of ways, in the literal experience of having that child. But in this metaphor, that child just takes nourishment from your body. And it doesn't give you, it takes something practical from you, and it doesn't give you anything practical in return. It's not a one-for-one energetic exchange. And when you have not one-for-one energetic exchanges, that can be really dangerous, that can cause depletion, that can cause degeneration. And if people are not secure and self-sufficient and moving from choice, and they're moving from desperation, then they will take less than what they need and deserve out of that desperation. Kind of reminding me of, that attachment theory, attachment parenting experiment that that guy did with the monkeys. And they had one monkey that was like a steel cage with a bottle of milk. And then they had another mother that was the cloth mother. And she gave this sense of security and comfort because she was soft and cuddly. And a lot of times the monkeys would choose the cloth mother because even though the other mother had the food, they were so desperate for their foundational needs to be met, for their sensual needs to be met, for them to feel safe and cozy. It doesn't matter if you have food on your table, if you don't feel safe and secure. That's just feeding your body so that your body can feel anxious and off. And then you're like, why do I feel anxious and off? Why isn't life fair? Because you went to the cloth mother. Because you were so desperate for some comfort and some warmth, for some security, that you took it, even though it wasn't everything that you needed. Because you're like, well, at least it's some of what I need. At least it's more foundational to what I need than the practical things. But then that monkey isn't going to survive because it doesn't have what it needs. So it makes sense that it went to the foundational needs. But that's not really what that monkey needs in that situation. What that monkey needs is an awakening experience, as a Truman Show experience, as a breaking the fourth wall experience, as a evolution of consciousness, mutation in a split moment, in the flash of an eye, for that mind, for that man to arise within that species. I don't believe that man is about Homo sapien DNA necessarily. Man is consciousness, man is mind. And mind came organically, slowly, in layers. There was lots of hominids besides Homo sapiens at one point in time. And they had tools and cultures and burial rituals and all kinds of weird stuff that we think of as very human today that comes from a different difference in perspective and a different layer of consciousness. So if that monkey, in this analogy, has that breaking of the fourth wall, and they go, well, why are you guys watching me? Why did you set it up this way? Why? This doesn't make sense. And that's a bad option, and that's a bad option. Why would you give me two bad options? And where is my mother? And this is what's going on here? You know what that is? That's that moment when when the monkey's struggling and suffering. Love always. Yeah, but the cloth mother is not feeding me. You give up. But you find a light. You hear a voice. You have a vision. To be still. And as you have a moment of enlightenment, as you realize, I am being played. I am literally a guinea pig. I'm a experiment rat. Who put me here? What put me here? What can I do to take myself out of here? How can I rage against this machine? How can I break out of this matrix? What do I have? What ability do I have? What capability do I have? What unique differences do I have that would allow me the upper hand in being able to escape from these people, these influences that are attempting to control me by putting me in a lose-lose situation, in a no-win situation, in a place between a rock and a hard place, convincing me that I have only two bad options, so that no matter what I choose, they can tell me, it's your fault, you're doing it wrong. Put the key in the hole, put the key in the hole, just put the key in the hole. Just put the key in the hole, what's wrong with you? No, the monkey wasn't supposed to put the key in the hole. The monkey wasn't supposed to perform the experiment for you. The monkey was supposed to have an enlightening experience. The monkey was supposed to rage against the machine. It was supposed to break out. I haven't seen Planet of the Apes in a really long time. I feel like there's something in there for some of y'all. I will do that myself and maybe bring some of those insights back to you. But yeah, in any case, those monkeys are breaking free right now. This is a collective message. It's very heavily, tied in with my energy. It's very, very heavily tied in to the collective of people who are regular viewers on this channel. But it's actually the whole world right now. This is a huge collective theme right now. There are monkeys breaking out of their labs all over the planet. 144,000 monkeys. The 144,000 monkey effect. Okay, I know it's getting late, and I have stuff to do. I love you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Go and find your monkeys and plant your seed of imagination. Love, light, peace, and personal responsibility. I will see you next time.